Next, we're moving up the coast to Galveston County and Galveston Island Parks. Lou Miller. Muller, not Miller. Muller. You didn't have a presentation or not? You didn't have it. You're just going to wing it.
Just going to wing it.
And I didn't get a bio from Lou, so he's going to tell you all about himself.
Okay, thank you, John. I want to thank you and your committee for the symposium, and I think it's been very educational to all of us who participated from Galveston. It's interesting to note that, and I think we'll see as the day goes on today, how much of the same techniques that all of us on the coast are using, and some of the same concerns that we have with regard to dunes and the environment and things of that nature. There's a couple folks from the Park Board of Trustees who I work for. They're here today. Mario Rabago, who is our Director of Parks and Beach Cleaning Department, and also Rochelle Gaskins, who is our Public Relations person. We all have to deal with public relations when it comes down to heavy influxes of seaweed. I'm not a politician nor am I a scientist, but I appreciate all the information that everybody shared with everyone yesterday from the scientific point of view, and I didn't realize the number of years that sargassum has been studied, and I think it's very important that we educate the general public to some of the benefits of sargassum. I think that's a very misunderstood aspect of this Gulf weed that we get, that the public doesn't realize the benefits to the environment of the sargassum. And somehow we've got to convey and educate the public. We all in this room have now been educated. We now need to figure out a way to educate the masses, if you will. And I'm not sure exactly how we do that. I talked to this gentleman back here, and I think all of these sessions are being videotaped. And if we can use certain segments of those to, like locally in Galveston, for example, we have a local city municipal cable channel that we could possibly use certain segments of this to try to educate our folks in Galveston about the benefits of sargassum and things of that nature. The Park Board of Trustees maintains approximately 32 miles of beach on Galveston Island, with the exception of the state park and Jamaica Beach, which is a incorporated community amongst itself. The budget for the beach cleaning department alone is approximately $1.2 million annually. We have 22 full-time positions. Of those positions, it includes support personnel like our mechanics and administrative personnel. We also, at the Park Board of Trustees is a 9-member board appointed by the City of Galveston City Council. We also have a subcommittee of the Park Board of Trustees, which is the Beach Maintenance Advisory Committee, which helps our staff, and Amy's part of that committee and the others, that helps our staff to develop our goals for each year, our budget for each year, and our methods and our policies with regard to dealing with the sargassum on the beachfront. That particular committee spent about a year initially to develop a policy, if you will, about how we would deal with seaweed on the island. Primarily, the funding for the beach cleaning department is coming from hotel occupancy tax. The bulk of our hotels are on the seawall area between 61st Street and 6th Street. Those hotel rooms those hoteliers pay considerable. People that stay in the hotels pay a considerable amount to stay in the hotels, and they want the beaches clean. So we consider those areas of the beach as postcard type hotels, beautiful beachfront and stuff like that. Where we have the most difficult time is on the west end, where there's increasing development that's going on west of the seawall, which the area from the west of the seawall to the end of the island is about 20 miles. And that's about 26 miles from our maintenance facility. You have subdivisions that some of the subdivisions are permanent residents, and many of them are rental homes for weekends or the week or the month. And they're very pricey. And those people want to have a clean, pristine beach in front of their rental property. And it makes it very difficult. And so what we've done is established a policy whereby the president of the homeowner association needs to put in writing for us that they request that the seaweed be not removed but relocated to the base of the dune area. And we take those letters and we laminate those letters because our operators are confronted many times by homeowners on the other side of the equation that do not want the seaweed relocated at all. They want the seaweed left in its natural state. So it's a very difficult situation. Then that's the west end. Then, and on the front of the seawall, we have a number of chair and umbrella rental operations there that require that we operate. We get all the seaweed relocated in front of their area by 7 o'clock in the morning, because these people get out when it's cool to set up their umbrellas and their chairs and things of that nature. So we have a lot of work to do. We start operating about 3 or 4 in the morning when at the height of the seaweed. So we're clear of most of these places by 7 o'clock in the morning. And then, like was said earlier, within a few hours, you got seaweed again. So you're having to deal with it again. You deal with a lot of customer complaints and things of that nature. And a lot of it has to do with, with tourism. You saw in a slide earlier a couple of versions of some buckets that were constructed in-house. We did that with our maintenance personnel last year. Unfortunately, the buckets, they worked fine, but the problem was we had an issue with the weight, lifting with the front end loader, lifting the bucket because it was built too heavy. And the other thing, it was not manufactured. It was done in-house, and so the pins where the bucket attaches to the equipment didn't match up, so we had to tack weld everything. And we're now working with some folks, I think Rockland, which manufactures a rock bucket. And we talked to someone from Nueces County, I think a while ago. They've looked at the same situation, but the spacing on the bucket is a little bit wide. But they are interested, I think, in working with us to develop something that would be specified to our specifications, where it'd be a little bit narrower. And so we're working closely with those people. We talked to them about a year ago, but now they weren't interested at the time, but now they seem to be interested. So hopefully we can bring some further information to you at a later date on that approach to things. And that's basically what I've got, John.
Any questions for Luke? Just a question. You can't get away that quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you checked in with the folks over in Florida and the bucket designs or whatever they may be using over there?
No, we have not.
Would you be open to sitting down or to having some discussions about what's used in other places?
Absolutely.
Be maybe more turtle friendly, more.
Absolutely. Yes.
I think a lot of that is they don't have the Sargassum that we.
No, not. I don't think they have it.
They have a whole different.
Yeah.
And the Atlantic seaboard does not have the same.
Yeah.
Quantities, if not the same.
I think it's way ahead.
I'm curious about where you put the seaweed that you collect or scrape off in front of the seawall there in Galveston.
Well, what we do there is if you drive down the seawall and look at it, I could have brought some pictures, but I didn't do it. We actually put it, Galveston has about 15 rock groins to go out, and we just stack the seaweed there in piles, and it ends up growing vegetation, believe it or not, on the beach. And in front of the seawall there are no natural dunes, so it creates a little vegetated area. And when you have a major tidal event like we had in October, or you have a tropical storm, that material eventually is washed back out to the Gulf. We don't relocate it. We might flatten it out a little bit in the wintertime, but we don't reload. Another good question, we don't, in the winter months, our 22 personnel that we have full-time, we're also doing beach nourishment projects. The east end of Galveston Island accretes rather rapidly throughout the summer, and so in the winter months, we're actually hauling sand, about 50 to 70,000 cubic yards, and putting it back in front of the seawall. And that's an every year deal. Yes?
Yes, sir. Mr. Muller?
Muller.
Muller. Those rock jetties, or short rock jetties, or groins, as they're called scientifically?
Yes.
Do you know when they were put in? And the thing is, I really want to get something like that down here. At our south end of this seawall is just going to cost millions to constantly put sand on through the dredging process, or we put some kind of a groin structure in there. And yesterday we were discussing that, and the concept came up as to whether it might even be legal.
Well, let me say this. The legality I'm not really sure of. As a lifelong resident of Galveston, as a kid, those were not out there. Actually, what they had a groin field, but it was actually piling that was lashed together with steel. And what I personally feel that the granite rock that was put on top of those wooden rock groins has impacted the erosion in front of the seawall area. I think had the water been allowed to continue to flow back and forth through those pilings, that piling groin, it would have benefited the seawall a lot better, because you see, if you look at an aerial photograph of Galveston, you'll see that around the rock groins you have these scalloped areas out, and depending on how far the rock groins are, some areas won't hold sand when we put it out there. So
it's that slight filtering that's available with the bollards, underwater bollards sort of structure,
right,
loose structure,
right,
some kind of strut between them. That's what I'm using.
They were originally, as I understand, put in by the Corps of Engineers, and the wooden piling that was originally there, which was covered with granite, was to protect the waves from undermining the seawall, because some of the old portion of the seawall structure itself is actually built on wooden pilings, and they were concerned that constant undermining of that particular seawall area could end up being serious trouble. So
that's what I'm used to in Florida. I grew up near the greatest promise war in the Gulf, same latitude as here in the Tampa area.
Right.
Maybe Rock Beach points out farthest into the Gulf in our direction. And those simple bollard or post piling structures interlaced with some thick planks, galvanized together, is what retains sand for decades out there. From the sand going away, scraping the beaches, it would retain it, just the way these jetties do here at Factory Channel. And the way Bob Hall Pier does as well.
Amy, you had a question?
Yeah, I had one question, one comment. I actually didn't get to participate with the beach maintenance committee this year. I had suggested creating some a lot of their access points water-red ties. And my concept was to create, signs that would say what is sargassum, why is it good, why is it good.
In one of the presentations yesterday, and I've made some notes of that, and I want to look into that and see if we can develop some signage that we can educate the public about the benefit of it.
Process.
Yes,
good.
yes.
I really think, we can't talk to everyone, but
right.
People start to read them. I don't know, my dad always reads the signs and feels like he has all this knowledge, and then he'll start telling me, they're like, so smart, he knows everything. Well, I see that happening a lot. People just start reading the signs.
That's right.
You could also have a website with information on the city's website, and if you make signs, put a link to it on, make a short link to it that you put up on the sign so that people can write it down or remember it. If you have any kind of beach stickers or licenses, have it on there so that they can go on the web and read about it or watch a movie or something.
It's also really important right as they get on the beach, we would see it right away. And my other comment was just that our policy committee that we had in Galveston was wonderful. Like I said yesterday, I came from New Jersey. I didn't know anything about Texas coast, and I got to meet so many people that were involved in so many different aspects of beach management down here in Galveston. And if each community could take the time to do something like our policy committee, I think it would benefit each community, because the solutions we came up with were for our community. It might not be right for your community, but just to get together and talk with rental agents and hotel managers, it was so beneficial.
Yeah, we had participation from hotel managers. We had participation from the rental group on the west end. So they all participated. They were all buy-ins on the committee. It's very important.
And just the knowledge from the people who are out on the beach every day, actually cleaning the beaches, it was great.
I think there was one more question back here.
Yeah, two questions. What's the average and range of dune height, say from the state park to the seawall? Dune height?
Dune height. What would you say, Howard?
From where? From the state park to the seawall?
We don't have really as great a dune structure as we have here on Potter Island. We have much greater dune structures.
Is there any at all?
There's not a seawall behind the state park.
No, I know, way back towards the county.
There are dunes out there. I'd say they're probably guessing about
6 foot.
6 foot. Yeah, about 6 foot.
And then the second question is, what's the average beach width north of the state park to the seawall and then state park to the center of the pass?
Probably in front of the seawall, you're probably looking maybe 75 to 100 feet.
Pretty good.
And pretty much the same thing on the coast.
You're saying
Same with the past, goes up pretty good.
That's going to do it for this morning, but let me tell you real quick, because we are about a half hour ahead of time, maybe even more than that, but I went to the Galveston Park Trustee Board. I'm not sure the proper order of all that is, but I went to pitch the idea of even inviting them to the Sargassum Symposium. And I'll tell you, I came away just smiling because I was well received, and I don't know, they might have thought I was weird or whatever, but it was the concept. They looked past it all and they went for the concept, and it was refreshing. And Amy is absolutely right, and I'm not sure the makeup of that committee. We owe it to ourselves here, and there's a kind of I think the county of Galveston and the city of Galveston, they must get along. I'm sure they have a few differences. And I was very relieved to hear Blake say that they're working with the city, at least on some of the disposal sites or some potential solutions. I don't know if that's a solution, but at least they're working together. And there's a very contentious, fragile relationship here between the city and the county. And hopefully, if we can get some ideas, and maybe one of the results of this symposium is to form that beach management committee to look at all of Mustang and North Padre Island.